How's everybody doing? I hope you are all having a great day, a great month, a fucking great year. And we are back at it, people, with another One Piece chapter. This time, the title cover art is Brooke getting electrocuted by an electric jellyfish while swimming in the sea. This is actually a pretty cool cover piece. It's it's nice. Then we jump into the story. By the time Shuri was 14 years old, tales of her beauty began to spread, which led to 5 princes of nearby kingdoms to approach her asking for her hand in marriage. However, Shuri defeated all of them and announced that she doesn't like weak men or men who can't play music. Brooke, who was known 27 years old. Look at him, he's actually gotten older. He does look like a 27-year-old. Talked to Shuri about her rejected suitors, which she admits with pride she beat all of them, hoping he would show some interest in how strong and cute she has become. Look at this, she's actually trying to flirt with him right now. Though when she mentions she hopes her chest will get bigger as she gets older, Brooke tells her not to think like that because it's undignified only for him to approach some woman asking to see their panties, which literally is what's next. He does most of the time now, resulting in Shuri throwing her to. Despite that, the two would continue to spend their days singing "We're all bones when we die." And yeah, this actually came to fruition. Nigga, you became a bone. That's so funny. Shuri saying she loves his music just as much her parents do. Something that fills Brooke with pride. Shuri asks Brooke if he loves her father that much, and he confirms he does, stating that if it weren't for him, he would be dead by now. When Brooke was 11 years old, he lived in a junkyard by himself, and this junkyard looks terrible. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. And would often watch other kids learn music and play instruments. Though he at the time wasn't very popular because he lived in the junkyard and was often chastised away from the institute. In the junkyard, Brooke spent his days singing and playing a makeshift violin he made out of a junk, sometimes singing that the king is to blame for this current circumstances he's having right now. Reuven would often visit Brooke in the junkyard back when he was a prince, though Brooke didn't realize who he was at the time, only figuring he was a fan of music to explain his frequent visits. Something Reuven didn't deny as a sign of their newfound friendship. Brooke made Reuven as a stew of a Garsham hoppers and a frog. This man really cooked up a fucking frog. Imagine that shit. And he served it with some curry powder he stole from the Marian ship that come to port mixed in, which he says will make anything taste like curry, regardless of the ingredients. As he took the ball, Reuven thought about his fierce meals, which were very small, and how he was introduced as a prestigious woman, no doubt, meant to be taken as a wife. He does get snapped out of his thoughts by Brooke and eats it. Though it seemed to taste terrible, still, he offered to pay Brooke for his generosity, but Brooke told him not to bother as they were friends. After that, the two would spend more time hanging out and playing music together. One day, Brooke was captured by some Marines who started beating him up in an interrogation, as they assumed he was in league with gangsters to hide drugs that they were going to sell to said Marines, only to find him with nothing but curry powder. These people really thought the curry powder was some Zaza or some, you know what I mean, that white powder. Despite Brooke protesting his innocence, the Marines refused to believe him and planned to kill him so he doesn't tell anyone. My God, these Marines, they just keep getting worse and worse by every flashback of every single person's backstory. Jesus Christ. Believing this time was nearing, Brooke continued to sing while waiting for the inevitable. But thankfully, Reuven arrived on the scene along with the rest of the battle convoy. Though the Marines call him a prince, which Brooke overhears, the rest of the convoy ask Revu to stand back and let them handle the situation. But the Revu refuses, as he cannot figure the crooked Marines for hurting his friend. The Marines then overhear a report delivered to Revan that the gangsters who were from the Mulvin family were captured along with their real courier, thus proving Brooke's innocence. Jesus Christ, this boy was really about to die. They don't have any mercy, Jesus. But the convoy members were Revan that the Marines are still backed by the world government, which will lead to trouble between Asperia and the organization. Revan, however, says he does not care, as the belief the government supporting corrupt soldiers is a sign that the world is coming to an end. The Marines beg to spread, but Revan ignores them and labels them as trash, talking down to them alongside Candelia. Brooke then wakes up at the place with his injuries tended to, and with Revan by his side, where he expresses relief he is okay and apologizes for not telling him he was a prince before, saying he was just having too much fun with him to potentially ruin with the truth. I mean, that's plausible, that's true. It might have gotten destroyed. But imagine this shit. He could have saved him from that. He could have took him to his home. He was his friend. But whatever. Candela reveals that every time Rivian left the castle, the convoy went into a panic to try and find him. But she never guessed he was hanging out with someone like him, who she calls adorable to Brooke's delight. Rivian then announced that he was going to take Brooke into the place and make him his personal musician, with the promise of providing him an actual bed, instruments to play, and a spot at their school. Wholeheartedly confident he will one day become a star of their kingdom and live in upon the place. Hearing this, Brooke tears up at Revan's kindness, thereby explaining how he became his benefactor. Well, this does it for this chapter, guys. This was weak. I'm not gonna lie. We did not need another Brooke story. This whole Elbaf arc was supposed to be Usopp's, but this chapter was not my favorite. Again, it's still One Piece. It's still plenty of backstories left. But when we were about to just get to the climax, I think this Brooke story really killed it. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Well, I'll catch you at the next one. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video.